welcome back to the Money Making Mamas podcast. I'm a mom, my name is Nancy, and I'm also a Nana. And I'm so proud to be on this podcast with my beautiful daughter,
Kelsey. Hello, welcome back. I am a mom as well, and I have two babies, Nana's grandchildren. I have a boy and a girl. They're 3 and 2, or about to be 3 and 2, and and I also have a stepdaughter as well. And we are just two money making mamas. We own a real estate coaching business that we help other moms learn about real estate and how they can give back financially, contribute to their families. Sorry, tongue twister today. The weather,
I know,
something.
it's a little cold.
It is.
It's right after the holidays. It's
it
like
is
a little holiday kind of thing. But yes, and we also just have stories of empowerment. We're going to talk about just how you balance being a mom with working or staying at home or taking care of yourself.
Yes.
Mom guilt or no mom guilt. So what are we talking about today, Kelsey?
Yeah. So we're talking about being a mom.
That's right. But I'm a mom, an older mom. So
yes.
I have a little wisdom. I don't know if it's wisdom, but I have years of experience of being a mom.
And I feel like I'm still considered a new mom. Even though, Allie, my stepdaughter, she's 13. And I've known her like for more than half of her life. But I have my own two kids, and again, they're 3 and 2. And so I still consider myself a new mom, whereas you have like definitely 31 years. And
some years, yes.
So
but
today,
I started when I was 3. So let's put that out there.
Oh, because you're I was like, what?
Okay, so let's talk about so we're going to be talking about generational differences.
Yeah.
And maybe comparing how I parented versus how you're parenting, and are there similarities
and
or differences?
I think the culture of being a mom, of what it looks like in now 2025 and what it looked like in 1999. Seems like ages ago.
It
but
was ages ago.
I will kick us off.
All right, let's go.
Okay. So what would you say is your mom win that you're really proud of?
Well, I mean, you're sitting right here.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I think, you've grown into a very responsible, mature, you make good decisions. I had a path. I think every mom has a path for their kids that they hope, you always want your children, I think, to have a better life,
right?
Make it a little easier, whatever. So I always told Kelsey, okay, you're going to go to, you're going to graduate high school first, then you're going to college, then you're getting a job for 2 years, then and only then can you get married. Now, was I a little bit of a controlling, I don't know if I was a helicopter mom, but I definitely was a controlling mom. They can't see your face on the podcast.
YouTube watchers can, not subscribed.
But, I'm a little bit of a control freak. But I did pass that trait on to my daughter. But I would have to say that Kelsey, just really never gave me too many years of heartache. But like any mother-daughter, we had our moments. But, you
still have our moments.
We still have our moments. But, I'm very proud of the woman that you have become, and you're evolving. I love watching you as a mom. I think in the beginning, one of my mom fails was probably trying to give you advice or saying, why are you doing that? That caused a lot of disagreements, I think. But I think overall, that's my proudest achievement,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So again, I'm a new mom, so I don't have a lot of years of experience. But I think for me, it's just my proud is constantly looking at my kid. You don't want them to grow up, and you don't want them to no, just stay a baby forever. But then I look at them, Bear is talking to me, having conversations. I'm like, bro, you couldn't even hold your bottle yesterday. How did this happen? So I think it's cool, just in general, watching your kid become a human.
Yeah, becoming independent.
Yeah. So I will say, I know that's super generic, and I know that every mom. Well, okay, a nitty-gritty one. I am proud of the fact that we have a little bit less sleep regression. We were really going through a big one with Bear, and so that is my proud moment right now that we made it through out of that, the thick of the woods.
Yes.
So, okay, so you kind of mentioned a little bit, but mom fail. What has been your most memorable mom fail?
Yeah, I would say I've had a few mom fails. you know, the one that just comes to mind because it's kind of funny now, but back then I was like, oh my gosh, I probably could have gotten Child Protective Services after me. I don't know, but um, I had you. I was getting ready for work, you know, harried and trying to get around, and at that time, I was a single mom, so I was doing everything myself, getting the bag ready, getting you off to daycare, whatnot, and I had a carrier and I had set it up on top of the countertop, and it was kind of one of those old kind that wasn't cloth; it was plastic.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know who invented that. I don't know what. Anyway, and I was like, and you had a onesie on that was very fuzzy, and just you were super cute in it. So I just sat you down in that. I laid you down in that carrier, you know, because I
On
was
top
gonna
of the
put
counter.
on top of the counter,
Uh-huh.
while I turn around to, you know, I don't know, fill my cup up or something with coffee.
I'm
Next
trying to
thing,
imagine this. Hold on. trying to imagine this carrier real quick. Was it like, was I sitting up? Was
no,
I
you were
laying
laying down.
down?
It
So
was
I'm
kind of
laying
like
on top of the
you're
counter.
laying on top of the counter in the carrier, and it was like, you know, I don't know if I got it as a gift, if I bought it or whatnot. It wasn't a high quality. It wasn't like the carriers they have now where they're almost look like a C.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like that. It was more like a lazy L. I mean, try to think of a snake that's,
Okay.
you know, but
Yeah,
very
yeah.
flat, not a little bit of a curve.
Sounds like they might have discontinued these things.
Probably yes. They had Gerber on it, I'm not sure, but but yes, I don't see those kind of carriers anymore. So I put you down in that carrier. I turned around to do something, and the next thing I hear is this little thud. I look around. I turn around. I had like tile floors in the kitchen, and I turn around, and there you are, just spread eagle, and you have this like you're just looking at me, and I'm looking at you, and I'm like, okay, what just happened? And I was like, okay, you're okay, because I could tell you were on the verge of just screaming, right? Because it's like, okay, did I hurt myself? And I was like, oh my gosh, did she have a concussion? And you were probably only about 8 or 9 months old, so you weren't even that old, right? So your head must have been soft enough that it absorbed. Anyway, I picked you up, and I was like, you're okay. And you just smiled, and I was like, okay, we're not using that carrier
Isn't it
anymore.
so funny, our reactions and how, because
Yeah, because you just looked at me like your eyes were big as saucers, right? And I was just like, oh my gosh, this could go either way. And I was like, okay, nope, you're okay. Mommy's sorry. So, but anyway, yeah, so I went about my day and got you on, but I was like, I felt so bad. I mean, I felt that's like, not only was it a fail, it was a very guilt trip thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because you're like, oh my gosh, did I harm my child?
Yeah.
Because I was hurried and everything. So that one comes to mind because, and then now years later, you know.
Yeah.
But I can't really think, and I don't know would I say them publicly if they were really bad fail. I guess you're not in jail.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, you're a testament to, did I make mistakes? Yes, I made plenty of mistakes. But I think the cool thing, you were talking about independence, I think, you know, seeing your child evolve is really nice.
Yeah. No, it's so funny because Bear and Toby, they'll fall, and like you look at them and you're like, you're okay. You're good. You're totally fine. Nothing. It's like their reaction, like they'll totally feed off of you. Like sometimes it works, sometimes they're like, no, whatever. But I think my fail was the one that like just really comes to mind. Similar story, but Zach travels a lot for work, and so I was watching. This was prior to Toby being born, and so Bear, I think, was 6 months old. Like he just learned how to like roll over on his belly, like, you know, all whatever. And bedtime routine, he used to hate baths, like hate them, so we'd get them all done or whatever, and then I put him on our bed in our room, and then I don't know what I was thinking, but I was like, well, I gotta get his bottle, he needs his bottle, and it's just way faster if I just put him here for a second and I'll just go get his bottle. And anyway, so I put him on the bed, and on our bed, and it's pretty high up, and we have carpet floors, just disclaimer everybody, because you already know where this is going. But yeah, I run to go get his bottle, and I'm like, I'm gonna be really fast or whatever, nothing can happen. And literally, and like as the milk is like almost done, like it was only like 15 seconds, like, but it felt like a minute, and I was just like, what if he falls? Like he could definitely do that. And sure enough, so I like sprint back to the room. I get to the I get through the door, and I can like see him just like falling. I'm like, no, or whatever. And so sure enough, he lands on his back, spread eagle. It was soft carpet, same thing. But then of course I put him down, and like you just think, did I concuss my kid? Like, you know,
Yes.
so I called Zach. He's because out of us two, he's definitely more survival than I am. I mean, I have panic, and then it kicks in 5 minutes later. Okay, survival mode. But so I put him down, and I call Zach, and he's at like a work like dinner with his teammates and everything. I'm like, I think I just concussed our kid. Like, I don't know what to do. And so I told him what happened. He's like, he'll be fine. But yeah, like you just think in that moment, like, oh my gosh, did I just.
I know.
Yeah.
And then you have the guilt, right? Then you
And
have
then,
to, like, watch
well,
him.
but then I have a wild boy who literally like jumps off of, you know,
He does.
4 feet. He is wild. For all those boy moms out there, I'll be laying down. He's like, oh, tackle mama. Okay, cool. Anyways, okay, yeah, definitely mom fails. So we've all had them.
Yeah, and they're gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
I think, and how moms react.
Yeah.
Is how, I mean, you can beat yourself up. You made a mistake, especially if you're sleep deprived. I know that's one of your questions too. Sleep deprived. You know, lots of things can happen. Babies are resilient. Now you have to, you know, and when you make that one mistake, I think that's the one thing about moms. When we make a mistake, we'll make other mistakes, but we probably won't make that mistake because you probably never left him on the bed again, right?
Yep. Yeah. That's
but
so
I
true.
never used that carrier again either. In fact, I think I threw that thing away. So.
That's fair. So you mentioned that you are a single mom.
Yes.
Which, hands off to all the single moms out there, because it's being a mom is hard. Being a single mom is hard, or a single parent, single dads too. But so put your Nana hat on, and if you could look back at that first year, what advice would you give yourself? The first year of being a mom, what would you give your advice to? Or
my advice would be not to be so hard and critical on yourself.
like, oh yeah.
I think I'm gonna let you take that while I take a drink of water. So
okay, well, I think for me, if I were to look back at my first year, and again, like that was really, it's crazy because it was only like 2 years ago for me. It's just so hard because again, I feel like I have all of the common, like the normal things that are, oh, I wish I could be more present. I wish I could like not focus so much on, you know, like they'll get there, like tummy time, like not to feel pressured about, well, they have to do this and here and whatnot. And like, I think that like, and not being so focused on like, oh, I have to take this 1-month-old photo and like get them to smile. And because at the end of the day, like, I mean, yeah. So I think it's the generic, like kind of looking back and being like, oh my gosh, this time passes by so fast. Like, stop worrying about like if they've had 5 full minutes on their tummy. If he's wailing, like just take, you know what I mean? So I think that stuff.
I'm gonna just piggyback on that because I think the advice I would give is when the baby is screaming all night long, you think, oh my gosh, this night's never going to end. But not only will it end, but the next thing you know, years will have passed. So I talked in our other episode about, you know, one thing about being a Nana is that you have the time to be present. So the wonderful things I remember about being a mom is when I slowed down and took the time to be with my child.
Yeah.
You know, I can remember some times when, you know, we would go to the park and just have a picnic and just run around and just be kind of almost be a kid yourself, but being present with your children as much as you can. It's hard, especially if you're, you know, a new mom or you're trying to do it yourself or you're sleep deprived. Or you have a million other things to do, but take advantage when you can. That would be my advice.
Yeah. I think it's crazy because I remember, so I'm full-time home with the kids. And I remember one time I was going to Vienna to help my best friend of many, 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 many years move there permanently. And the day before I was like, I'm going to be the most present mom. I'm not going to have my phone with me, all this stuff. I'm just like going to really, because it was my first time being away from the kids for like ever and a day. It felt like it. But it was going to be 8 days away from them, a whole other country. Like, this was my first time. It was my first time being away from Zach for that long. And so I told myself I'm going to be really present. like I think I left on Friday. I'm gonna be super present. And I had the best day with them. Like I didn't have my phone. And as a stay-at-home mom, it's really hard because you're like, oh my god, I don't want to play Legos for the fifth time this morning. And it's just easy to pick up your phone or pick up a book or something like that and let them, because you want independent players. But anyways, and I looked back at that day at the end of the day after they went to bed, and I was like, oh my gosh, this day was so good. I was like, why did it take me leaving out of the country to tell myself to be more present with them? And so I think ever since that, I mean, I still struggle like daily with trying not to, whatever, distractions to like pick up my phone, but.
And moms might find it hard to just even get one day a month, right?
Yeah.
But you can make those moments, I mean, they could be like 10 minutes a day or 10, you can find the time. That last load of laundry might have to wait just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Or whatnot. But yeah, I think time.
Which,
when you look back, you always say, wish I coulda, woulda. I think it all boils down to the time, right? How did you spend your time?
But, okay, flipping the switch really quick because I want to talk about, I want to compare this to, so you're going to have to, put your mom hat back on.
Okay.
And I'll start off so you can think about this.
Okay.
But yes, be present, but then also too, like recognize that you need like an hour a day, like, or maybe you're not loving this era that your toddler is throwing a fit every 2 seconds. So like I think that yes, being present and like not getting too wrapped up in time going by, but then also too, mom struggles that people don't talk about that I wish were more common is, yeah, sometimes it's straight up not fun to be in the toddler phase. Like literally I feel like there's several weeks where I would tell my friend, I was like, I don't know I feel like I'm walking on eggshells with my 2-year-old. Like, that's not fun. I don't like being a part of this. So, like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, I don't want them to grow up, don't blink, all that stuff. But then also, too, like, I'm ready to get out of this phase. So, like, mom struggles that you wish were more common when you were a mom, like, that people talked about. What would that be?
That they did talk about or they didn't talk about?
That you wish that they would have talked about.
Exactly what you're talking about. So, that time period where I was a single mom and, there were days that you had that. And I think you have to recognize a support because being present also means being present for yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that means removing yourself away from the distractions, the crying, because that makes you you have to take care of yourself, right?
Yeah.
You have to take those moments. So during that time period, I didn't really have a support system.
Yeah.
I mean, I had some friends, but most of them didn't have kids, so they didn't even understand it. And I actually had a pretty demanding job on top of it.
Yeah.
So, you weren't allowed to complain about your home life, so to speak. And, back in that day, and I'm not saying, it was that long ago, but, people didn't really want to hear that.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
They didn't want to hear it. So I think as women in the workforce, it's hard for us to find that emotional support that we need when we have those days with our children.
Yeah.
Because it makes us seem weak to the people that we're maybe talking. So if you don't have a group of like-minded women to share those feelings with, no one else wants to hear about it.
Right.
So I think that was probably, no one really wanted to know what my personal struggles were because I was in charge of, an entire department.
Right.
And, managing 30 some plus people, so I didn't really have the luxury of saying, I'm having a hard day with my toddler, right?
Because you just have to enjoy these moments.
You just have to enjoy your moments, or how lucky you are, or,
right?
So I think that women. Now I haven't been in the corporate world for over 20 years, but I have a lot of women friends in the same industry, and it's that they have the same struggle that they did back then, just or that you're talking about now. And unless they have a supportive partner or some kind of support group, it's really, really hard to get the quality time that you personally need, but also give the quality time because you feel like you're not being taken care of.
Right. Okay, so talking about support groups and mom friends, Okay, so far what I'm finding is I feel like generationally, like there are some like slightly different stuff, but like you talk about how people would tell you like, yeah, don't blink or things like that, but then also too like let's talk about how like, yeah, we're ready for this phase, and same with me too. But so I'm curious, do you feel like you had a lot of mom friends?
No.
Okay. Do you feel like okay, do you feel like you actively sought that out, or do you think that because like work and everything like that, you just like had
So
your thing?
it was kind of twofold because I was divorced.
Yeah.
So the friends that I had prior, which a lot of times happens, is
Yeah.
that you have to have new friends. So the friends that I did cultivate, um, I can only think of one or two people that were also single parents, and
Yeah.
that because of the age,
Mhm.
because it's one thing when your kids are like 13, 14, and you get a divorce, but when you get a divorce when your child is 2 months old or 3 months
Right.
old, it's a completely different
It is.
animal, and you don't meet a lot of people, or at least I didn't meet a lot of people that had that young of a child. So
Well, and they're on such a strict schedule. Like it's like they have
yes,
to go down at like a certain
right,
time,
and so
and
you don't really have time for. I mean, I already had you in daycare, right? Because I worked, and so I didn't have much of a social life because I wanted to be at home. Plus, I was tired.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, so there were a lot of things. Now I did have friends, but it wasn't like we bonded over bottles or
Right.
breastfeeding or anything like that, or how many diapers you went through. Really, probably the most support I got was from, I had a fantastic daycare
Yeah.
situation, and so the women there that worked there, I think, helped me because I didn't have family either. So I think looking back on those years, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's good. Especially when you hear like oh my gosh, the horror stories of some daycares and things like that. We
Yes.
won't go dive into that because I think that
It's too scary.
it's way too
And I
scary.
think it's different. It's different now. You didn't back then. I didn't hear because where I grew
Do you think it's different though because you didn't? So you're about. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Is
Yeah.
it because you didn't hear about stories?
Well, yeah, you didn't hear about stories.
And now you hear about them because of social media.
Social media.
And I feel like
Yes.
the news is way more prominent now. Maybe.
Maybe. I'm just trying to think. Also, it was very community oriented. So the you were only in two daycares, and they were both within the community, and that I was affiliated with.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Daycares, man.
But I did have, there was a case where I had a private person, when you were first newborn.
Oh, okay.
I went and interviewed her. She, was doing daycare in her house and everything. Because what you don't know, I mean, there's not cameras there weren't cameras like there are now.
Right.
And, but I did make which you should still do this. You should make surprise drop-in visits. And I happened to drop in.
Oh, no.
And you were on the bed, and her 9-year-old, was on each side of you, bouncing you up and down, and you were screaming.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah, so it's not just, this was in somebody's home that, came highly recommended. So,
not to scare the moms out there, but do your check-ins.
And I would say, quality daycare. I mean, sometimes you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So.
I know. Yeah, I know, because that's what when we decided to put, only one of my kids went to daycare for a little bit, and when we decided to put Bear in, like, I was like, yeah, I know this is expensive, but you're not just paying for a roof over their heads. Like, you're paying for the people that are in there taking care of your babies while you're not there, what they're feeding them, how often they're changing their diapers, like things like that, the attention that they're getting, things like that. There was a lot of women at Bear's daycare that, huge shout out to them.
Yes.
They were amazing.
And they had cameras, so you could check in. So
I will say though, I'm not gonna say who, but it was a little frustrating because we had to pay extra for that, and I feel like that should be a security feature that's just included in the tuition. Like, I shouldn't have to pay extra to check in on my kid,
right?
And when I'm already paying for an astronomical
right.
price, so it is a little annoying that a lot of, and I mean, it's not just daycares that do that. It's a lot of people that are like, oh, you want this extra security feature? It's going to be $19.99 a month. Like,
and parents are going to pay for it because
I mean, yes,
you're going to
minus not me, but
yes.
Yeah, that's well, I will say I think that was like one of my biggest struggles being a new mom was trying to find not only a community of moms, but a community of moms that had similar age children, because that makes a huge difference. Because like, one, if we go straight back to like the schedules, like, yeah, I have to have my kid down, well, this was like probably a couple months ago, but I have to have my kid down by 7 or else they'll have like a meltdown. And having and then, you know, there's like, obviously we have friends with older kids, and you know, their kids can stay up late. I'm like, oh my, well, now Bear stays up late too, but previously it's hard to match those schedules. But then also too, just, hey, I'm going through it as well.
Exactly.
I'm going, you know.
And I think that's the thing. I didn't have that part.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't relate. Now, what it did do is it made me a better friend for when my other friends, when they had their children. I have a very good friend who she had adopted two infants, and then they were just months apart. So I felt like I could empathize with what she was going through.
Yeah.
Well, of course she was doing it double, but so I think it helped me to empathize with women because I didn't have that.
That's so true, because I feel like some of my friends who have had babies recently, like I find myself being more, how can I help?
Yes.
And how can I be there for you and all that stuff. And like, it's an exciting time for them. And like, I just wish that now I have like a great group of friends with similar age kids and things like that. And so it is nice because, again, if there's any moms out there struggling to find your tribe, like, you will find it. You do have to put yourself out there, because I've had to put myself out there way more than
you did.
Yeah, it is not me at all. Like, I had there was one of the girls in my group was like, Kelsey, you're so, what is it, extrovert? Is that the, yeah, she's like, you're so extrovert. I'm like, actually, I'm not.
You're actually a very shy person. People don't know that about you.
I'm very shy.
You're very shy.
I don't.
This is like huge. Like, people don't know that this is huge for you to do when I first came to you with the podcast idea, you're like, no.
Yeah, first off, I hate hearing myself talk.
But we're always so critical.
I know, we are. We are.
As women, I think, you know, if I can make a stereotypical statement, that we are probably our worst critics.
You know, and I don't know if I'm like, again, new to the podcast world, so I don't, but I heard this other woman talk about on this other podcast, so podcast within a podcast, but she was basically talking about how women and if I butcher this, my bad, but how women are like, you know, we're made to feel smaller, whether that's physical or mental, but we, like, society has programmed us to make ourselves feel small.
This is another podcast topic.
Yeah, we're not gonna, oh my gosh, we're not gonna go into it. But anyways, I was just going.
And imposter syndrome. And
yes.
All of those things that keep women down.
So anyways, I was just saying, you got to put yourself out there, though, to find your tribe, because that was a really hard part for me was, I remember being, you know, distraught. And I will say, whenever we moved into our new house, and that was a must. Like, you know, I got to have 2 bathrooms or 2 sinks in my bathroom, but I also need to live in a community that has kids. And that was a huge difference. And so I think once we, you know, made that a priority in our life, and I put myself out there, then I was able to find my tribe of moms, which was really nice. So anyone listening, put yourself out there.
And I'm just going to say how that all circles back to real estate investing.
Oh my gosh.
Because when you're talking about real estate, you know, where you're investing in your home, in your community. So it all kind of always, that's what I love about it. It's just, it's almost like it's just a part of our fabric of living. So.
Well, definitely. Yeah. Well, when I think that, just to touch on that topic really quick, especially for me and Zach, one of the big things that you've taught us is we will not live in this home forever. One day, whether we move on to a different house or unfortunate circumstances, whatever it is, like, we will not move into this house forever. So we want to, you know, keep in mind of other people that we might want to rent out to, so like looking at layouts of houses, you know, yes, how would we like them, but also how would they benefit like another family in single family homes?
Are you talking about resale value?
I don't know. Anyways.
Right. Okay, so that'll be another topic. So.
Another topic. Okay, let's go back to being a mom. Mom, what do you want to talk about?
You know,
You know what? Actually, since we're um we talked a little bit about struggles and, fails and all that. What about, would you like to, I'll give you the option. Would you like to put on your mom hat or a Nana hat?
what's the question?
Okay, so what's a small everyday moment with your kids that always makes you smile?
Oh, I can wear both hats for this one.
Okay.
Okay, so I think getting on the floor and playing with your children and grandchildren, and seeing the seeing the expression on their face when you're talking with them, when you're acknowledging them, when you're telling them you did a great job.
Yeah.
I think that whether you're a mom or a nana, a dad, friend, when you see the joy in the child's face, I could do that all day. And that gives you it just lifts you up. Like if you're ever depressed, when people look at babies in the face, and they're like so cute and
their belly laughs, man.
And it
Bottle
just,
that
how can
up.
you be in a bad mood after you see that? You know what I mean? So I think just being on the floor, some of my greatest moments are playing with your little feet. And, I used to say, "Oh, sweet feet," or whatever, and I do that with the kids now. And they just laugh. And,
I think my other stay-at-home moms might relate to this, but considering I'm with the kids literally like all the time, it's the moments that if I go to the gym or if I pick them up at your house, or there's really no other situations that we're apart, but it's those moments that I'm reunited with them and Bear comes up to me, he's like, "Mama, Mama."
Oh, they're so excited
and they're so excited to see me. And I feel like, I watch Zach come home from trips that he takes, or if he goes to office that day, and Toby, she's such a daddy's little girl, but both of the kids would be like, "Oh my gosh, Dada, he's home!" You know what I mean? So excited, and I love that. I love that they're excited that he's coming home. But I feel like as stay-at-home moms, you don't get that a lot, and so the moments that I do, I just, oh my gosh, it's again the best feeling in the world. It's just so. Obviously, yes, playing with them and actually having conversations with Bear about this past holiday season, he really understood Santa and things like that, and having and those are special. But the moments that I'm away from them for a little bit and then come back and they're like, "Mama,"
and I think
yes.
it's the acknowledgement. It's the acknowledgement that you're their person.
Yes.
That you're the person.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so again, if this is your first time listening, we aim to keep this podcast kind of short and sweet, and because I love podcasts, but I do not like the ones that literally take me a week to finish a 2-hour episode. So we kind of like to keep it a little bit short. So this segment, we're gonna do rapid fire questions to kind of start wrapping it up.
All right.
Okay. So you gotta so I'm gonna ask you a couple, but then you have to ask me a couple.
All right.
Okay. So coffee or tea?
Coffee.
I already knew that one. Favorite. Okay. I don't know if this applies to when the kids are watching or when you're watching the kids, or if you want to look back in time, but favorite snack to steal from your kids? From the kids, I guess.
Goldfish.
I know. So have you, at HEB, for all the Texas people out there, HEB has their own version of goldfish called Lone Stars. Oh my gosh, there's something different. They just are a little bit less crunchy and soft, but it's that's my favorite snack to steal from them.
Okay,
I love it.
All right, well, I did think of a couple for you.
Okay,
John Travolta or Justin Bieber?
Oh, John Travolta. Did you see the commercial he came out with for I think Capital One or whatever, but
yes.
Saturday Night Fever? I thought it was so funny.
So backstory for everybody, when Kelsey was young, I used to make her watch Grease over and over, and then when we got together with my sisters, we watch Grease once, and then we go back through and just skip forward to the song, so we know all the lyrics. It might take us a little bit, but we know the lyrics.
No, I know, and it's funny because being a kid and I'm sure you experienced this as well, because when did it come out?
It came out, I don't even want to say how old I was. I saw it when it was in the movie theaters.
So, okay, I don't know if you had this. Okay, so when you heard like grease lightning for the first time, did you know how like it's kind of inappropriate?
I did not know.
As a kid, it went straight over my head, but then like as you're an adult, you're like, huh. Interesting.
So what would happen is when we would sing that, we would just over that one part. So we're not gonna keep this family.
Well,
right?
I know, but it's just kind of funny to talk about that from going to kid to parent. But fun fact, I actually am waiting for the day I can introduce the kids to Grease.
Yes, Grease and Fleetwood Mac. That was the other biggie that I introduced. So because that was going to be my next question, Fleetwood Mac or Cher.
Oh, that's a hard one.
Yeah, you can't really choose.
It's two different two different. That's hard.
Because if I said Cher or Taylor Swift.
Cher.
Yes.
Sorry to all the Swifties. Don't get me wrong. I do respect her a lot. You know, we talked about if there was one person out there, not one person, but she's not a mom yet, so.
Yes.
But she's made a name for herself. She's done very well.
And she invests in real estate.
Who else invested in real estate?
The Kardashian.
Yeah.
Kim Kardashian and her mom, Kris Jenner. And a lot of people don't know that Taylor Swift made a lot of money with music, but she made billions through her real estate investing, as did the Kardashians and Kris Jenner. So
wouldn't that be fun to do a whole, like, not a whole episode, but like a segment on like famous celebrities that...
There'd be a lot. I mean, think about when Brad Pitt...
But like unknown ones, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
like,
so the lady that...
Don't give it all away yet.
Okay.
Let's keep
I just want to say one thing about
Yeah.
Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. When they got divorced,
Mm-hmm.
they fought over all the real estate that they owned, right? So, I mean... It's not just rich people that own real estate. So, okay.
Anyways.
Anyway, so that's the rapid fire for today, I think. Was there one more you wanted to ask me?
Yeah, let's ask this one. If you had an extra hour in the day, how would you use it?
Okay, it's going to be between listening to a podcast.
Okay.
Watching something on Netflix.
Yeah.
Of course, I am a big Days of Our Lives fan.
Yeah. Should you tell people? I've been waiting for when you're going to bring this up.
No, I don't.
You want to save it? All right, we'll save. Ooh, a little teaser. Okay, so to wrap our episode up, next Wednesday, we're trying to drop our episodes every Wednesday. No idea what time, sometime in the morning. But next Wednesday, next episode, we'll be interviewing Nancy. So she's technically, if you're watching on our YouTube, she's in our white seat. That's our hot seat. It's kind of her also, like, that's your place. This is my place. But whenever we interview people, they'll be in the hot seat. So next week you'll be in the hot seat.
Okay. All right.
And we'll save your fun fact for next week. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. Mom, do you have any final words?
Just hit that subscribe button, follow us.
Yeah.
And if you have a topic or a question that you want to ask us, drop it in the comments below. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. And if you are a mom out there trying to start a side hustle, what's your biggest challenge?
Yeah.
Let's talk about what the big challenge, because there's a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
In my career, there's not too many obstacles I have not overcome.
You'll find out. Nancy talks a lot about your real estate investing, but I think you're a pretty good business consultant. I think you know what you're talking about when it comes to that department, LLCs, taxes, all the nitty gritty. There's one thing that just to end on this note, there's one big thing that I admire about you is you know how to do all the nitty gritty. Like, I feel like
I'm a very organized person.
You're a very organized person, but you don't let anything fall through the cracks. So next week we'll get to interview Nancy and all her stuff. And again, we're a small business, small podcast, so we appreciate any subscribe, like, comments, rates, follow us on the socials,
share?
Everything, share. Super appreciated. Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Hey,
talk to you later.
Talk soon. Bye.